Well, good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing? Great. Come on, let's get wild. What's happening here? Jared, how are we doing? Okay. So I just want to start us off right. I want to thank Shirley. Shirley's been my mentor since I started this. I also have to give due credit to Senator Schmidt, because when I was first approached about this, it was a little overwhelming because I was very much caught up within my tribal structure. But they reached out, and I really appreciate the fact that they did that, to just believe in me and say, we want you to be a representative, to come and work for our people. And so it has really been a tremendous honor just to stand in this position thus far. So everything I do is essentially for you, for our children, for our future. And I will continue to fight the best that I can. So now, I've been really blessed to be in this position. I've been invited to represent our state in multiple arenas. In fact, while I didn't get to see Shirley in DC, I was there as well. And I will tell you, it was amazing. But here, it was just as amazing here in Moscow. So thank you. I want to thank all the men and the women that were there, because that is the movement that we have to continue to stay up on. And that just means being active, being aggressive about our positions, making sure that we're heard in opposition or in favor of issues, whether it's local or national. So I will help you do that. Now, we have folks who are here in this room, both who are elected and who are part of this campaign or simply part of this movement, which is simply to be there for the people in the form of we rather than me. So I have a team of folks here. I'd like them to come up so you can see them, because these are the folks who are going to take your questions. You can either pass the mic, or we're going to take a question if you'd like to write it down, and they can ask the question for you, because this really is a town hall format. So I want to hear more from you than what you're hearing from me. So Briggs, you guys, these are my legislative interns. They're going to come up. Now, these guys were also part of my campaign team, and they also worked very hard to help me maintain this position for all of you. So please give them a round. Love these guys. So they were working hard, night and day, knocking doors. Oh, I have one that's entertaining. I didn't think of it. Please take care of her. So you may have been visited by them over the summer or throughout the campaign trail, but again, they love everything about Moscow. They're University of Idaho students, and they are the future. So they are. Now, I love them all. Just like any mother, you know, we say we have no difference how we love our children, right? But Briggs has been really helpful. So he's going to be the one that I am going to rely on to get all the information. So we're going to make sure that all of this here, this energy, continues to multiply. And that means making sure you're aware of all the things that we're doing in Boise. Briggs is also helping do research on some of my bills that I'm drafting. The other thing is we want to ensure that you're part of the newsletter. So we're going to try to stay on top of our newsletters and mailing lists. That means if you would like a handwritten letter or just an email or a phone call, whatever is best for you. My intent is to try to increase the communication level within this district as much as possible. Now, I know people had kind of expressed that being the only Democrat north of the Capitol would be extremely challenging. I will tell you, it is a little bit, but that's why I have Matt here, and I have a team, and I have a big family, which includes all of you. So watch out, Idaho, because we're not done yet, right? So you know who they are. Now they're going to be in the neighborhood. They're still helping out. If you can please, if you ever want to get a hold of me and you don't reach me directly, I'm going to give out my cell phone by the end of this meeting, by the way, and my email. But you have them here too, because they're on the ground. So while I'm in Boise, they're here just to keep the connection. But please, if you see them, give your question and they'll relay that back over. All right, so thank you guys. All right. That being said, I know we have some issues. I didn't want to get too much into just everything that's going on, because literally there's so much. And we've moved quite quickly. It just seems like so much has happened since the end and election night. I think as election night hit, it just felt like you hit the ground running, and then you got to get straight to what am I going to do next? Because now there's other districts involved. I was reached out to from Lewiston all the way up through Sandpoint, and everybody says, what are we going to do? We want to know what just happened. What happened to our country? What happened to Idaho? What just happened to my backyard? And I get it, but the issue remains that we have work to do. We can't worry about having representation. The representation essentially is you. You have to lean into your representatives and make sure that they realize that you are a voice and they represent you as well, regardless of which party they signed up to be. So I want everyone here, whether you are from way up north or from here or south, to get on that email. Let the chair people know, because we have committee chairmen, and I just had a conversation the other day with one because we were talking about pushing a climate change forum together. So I sit on the EET committee, and our chairman does not believe in climate change. Now, whether anyone here disagrees with that or not, that's fine. But still, this is a matter of democracy and having all views being heard. And he said, unless I get over this many emails, I don't believe it's necessary to have this conversation in the State House. So my counterpart and I, Representative Rubel, we talked about this. We said, well, let's just get everyone to send some emails and flood his email box. And we did, but we need more because he's already received hundreds, but we say, well, let's get 300 more because then he cannot ignore this issue. We want to get a joint legislative committee hearing on climate change, just to continue this conversation, to bring that dialogue to the State House, because it needs to happen. So if you simply just send an email to these representatives, they will pay attention. Now I'm getting emails all the time about just issues that aren't even within any of my committees, but I still take notice. There's a fee change issue that everyone flooded my box with this week. Now while that hasn't come through, I'm well aware of it, so when it does come up, I know where I stand. But that just goes to show you that when you flood these emails, just taking a few minutes of your time, whether it's any time of the week, night or day, that helps and it does truly make a difference. So that is my ask today, that you do stay involved, that you can stay up on the issues, and I will do my best to try to relay it over. I do have good representatives, and I've said this the last few years, that I feel like we are truly the Avengers, because, we are a raunchy bunch, but we are awesome. We're all amazing. I think we are pretty strong. We all have our talents where they may be, but we work very strongly together, and we are as tight as can be. But I think that's really the strength in our bunch. Our caucus, while it may be small, we are very powerful in that minority crew. But we are holding faith with our people to just be humble, honest, and truthful. And that's why I really pushed integrity throughout this campaign. And I really try to push that as best I can in the State House. You may not have seen that. You've seen some of the controversy, possibly. I'm not sure how far that carries up north. But it's frustrating. And it is tough to walk away from. I know we try to get dragged. Sometimes there's, and I'll have to be expressive here and fully lay it out. Within their party, they're splitting. Now they have started to devise this Liberty Caucus, and we have Liberty Caucus members who have tried to pull our party into their bunch. But we've held our stronghold. We've stayed apart from that. We've just continued to push our concerns. And those concerns have been simply solutions that we find that are best for everybody. They're extremely nonpartisan, and that's what I love about our caucus. So, as an example, I have the Rural Teacher Student Loan Forgiveness Bill. Now, I love this bill. Being from Plummer, and many of you here, whether you're from Deary or Troy, or maybe have been there but moved here, and Moscow still has that very rural feeling. But most of the school districts that we see who are still relying on supplemental levies and bonds to stay alive, their teachers are struggling and they're looking for opportunities elsewhere, not here. But we want our people to stay home. We want to grow our own. We want to stay local. And oftentimes that means simply providing other incentives, better opportunities. And what is that? And what I've heard was, well, I want to come out of school. I have a massive amount of loan debt and I just want to be able to offset those costs. Help raise my family, help ensure that I can stay here and work regardless of the income. Because honestly, good teachers, they don't care about their salary. They just want to make ends meet, but honestly, they care about the children. And I tease a lot of my teachers because I call them my partner in crime. Because while I'm off living my life and doing my dream of being a mother, they're also helping me raise my child by teaching them, educating them. And so I appreciate everything that they do. But this one little incentive simply helps offset and then incentivize them to stay in the rural district. So that's what this bill is about. And I'll tell you some positives. I have received a lot of good support. Tons of good emails flooding everybody's email boxes. And on top of that, I have been approached by Republicans who want to be co-sponsors. So that's good news. So the one good thing that I like about this is I think the only great pieces of legislation that come out of this legislative body are those that are bipartisanship pieces of legislation. And those have just been, to me, the greatest ways to show that we can work together and provide solutions for our people. That's one of them. The other, and we have, I think Matt will explain more so later on because we've been co-sponsoring our bills as well. I'm working to decriminalize marijuana. Now, however that is perceived here, perceived in this district or in the state, the point is to create this conversation, the dialogue. But I'm working with our students because really it came up to me over the summer as an issue. One, I'm concerned that our students would lose their FAFSA. I'm also worried about the economy in the state, people losing their jobs, also healthcare, people's healthcare. And so I want to decriminalize that because we need to keep our people out of our prison system, which is an extreme cost. So to me, this is a way of looking at our economy. This notion that Democrats were extremely liberal, but honestly we're extremely progressive because we're always moving forward. We provide the most practical solutions. As an executive of a national corporation, all I think of in terms of spending other people's money is how fiscally conservative can I be to get the most mile for every penny that doesn't belong to me. So we've been trying to do that. We're trying to assess every single tax-paying dollar that comes through our budget, and we're doing that to the best of our ability. But a lot of these solutions that I see, we're going to work our dangest to try to get those on the other side to step up with us. And thankfully, it's been happening. I think there's been some good, positive feedback, and that's my ultimate solution, is just simply to make as many friends on behalf of our district as possible. While it's been challenging, I've heard that the opposite end, the Republican Party wants to maintain all seats, but also gain all the seats in Idaho. I think that the argument for me is it's not a balanced solution. I have no argument against either party. Even when I stepped into this role, I was very independent. I wasn't raised to be part of any party. I was raised to be a servant of the people, to be more leadership-minded. What's best for everybody? That's the way my elders raised me to be. I only say that because I just want to express to everyone here that it's not to drive partisanship. That's not the way we want to be. I don't think anyone in this room wants to be that way. We just have a vision, we have ideas, and that's just, we find that we all have this commonality. It just happens to be in this side of the party. But I want it to be more inclusive. So there are Republican folks who I found I have more in common with, and I tell them, you are far more progressive than you realize. But they realize it's easier to get elected as a Republican, so they stay Republican in the state. But we have to do something about that, and I think it's really all going to come down to education, being vocal in the streets, talking to our neighbors and friends, because honestly, when I talk to the youth, they don't know the difference between our parties. And I tell them, well, it's really frustrating because you shouldn't have to really know the difference between the parties. We're driven that way because when I go down to Boise, I have leadership that hangs over me who drives us apart. But thankfully there are those who are rural, those who are mothers, those who are also progressive and have family and friends who are in certain circumstances that we can relate on. And we find those commonalities and we drive towards each other because of those reasons. So I'm trying to eliminate all those divisions. And it just comes down to really just having those heart-to-heart conversations. But it takes time. So thank you for your patience there, but I also need you to help me because, again, I'm not the only Democrat. There are hundreds of thousands of Democrats in this state, but I need everybody to speak up. Because like Shirley, while she may have been on her own for a little time being, I know it's not going to be for long, because I'm not going to be here alone by myself for very long, because Barry's going to be here soon. There are going to be multiple other people here soon. It's just a matter of time, I promise. But in the meantime, that's where we need to stand together, be stronger. And so, that being said, I really didn't want to get too much into the issues because I want to take more questions and have more of a conversation, if that's all right. I do want to allow Matt to come up because Matt Erpelding, and I should be more formal, I'm sorry, we're too close. He's a brother to me. Representative Erpelding is our chairman. He is our House Minority Caucus leader. Now this man, well, this is his first year in this role, and sadly we lost Representative Rushi. But we're doing good. You know, he has his mentors, I have my mentors. We're doing good. But Matt, he's taken on a huge role, and it really just requires a lot of maneuvering within the system. This system, which I really don't like, I think that's why we have to change it. And I'm one of those new folks who, you know, I don't get the old system because I think there's a lot of problems with it, and we need to fix it. But we're doing it slowly, and Matt's been there with me. Side by side, I tell you, there's no difference between he and I. We haven't even had our first fight yet. You know?
We should scheduled for next week.
Yeah, we're getting there. But we think so much alike. That's what I love about him. So he's a good man, and I'm thankful. We've invited him up. He came up from Boise, flew up, I believe, last night, and just really appreciate his time here. So I want to give him some space, and please ask him some questions as well. But the great thing is, partner in crime, awesome, and please realize that he is just as open to you as I am because he has taken up every single district, just like me. We'll be in Lewiston after this, we're going to Sandpoint, Grangeville, we'll be in Coeur d'Alene, so every district is our district. You know, we have to share, but that's why we work together. So I want to welcome Representative Erpelding. Thank you.